The night was quiet on Luma 7, a small planet near the outer trade routes. Stars hung like lanterns in the dark sky, and a soft wind moved the dust across the empty road. On the edge of this road stood an old building called the Starlight Motel. Most travelers didn't stay long, just one night, maybe two before heading off to bigger places. Inside the motel, a young man named Ravi worked quietly. He was the night cleaner. He wore a simple brown uniform, his name stitched on the chest. Ravi didn't talk much. He cleaned the hallways, fixed broken lights, and sometimes helped guests with luggage. He liked the silence of the night. There were no bosses yelling, no noisy guests, just the sound of the wind and his own footsteps. It was around 3 a.m. when something strange happened. Ravi had just finished mopping the lobby floor when the lights flickered. A soft humming came from outside, an energy storm was passing nearby. Luma 7 often had small power issues when storms got close. Ravi didn't panic. He had seen it before. He picked up the mop and turned to go back to the supply room. Then he heard it. A loud cough. It came from down the hallway, near room 12. It didn't sound normal. It was sharp and rough, like someone was choking. Ravi stopped. He waited. Another cough followed, then a thud like someone had fallen to the floor. Ravi hesitated. Motel rules were clear. Staff couldn't enter guest rooms without permission. But something felt wrong. He walked quickly to room 12 and knocked on the door. "Hello," he called softly. "Sir, are you okay?" No answer. He knocked again, louder. Still nothing. The door wasn't locked. Slowly, carefully, Ravi pushed it open. The room was dark, lit only by the soft blue light from the window. On the floor near the bed lay a man. He was young, maybe in his mid-20s, with pale skin and silver rings on his fingers. His clothes looked too expensive for a motel like this: dark boots, a long coat, and a shiny belt with a gold buckle. But right now, he didn't look like a rich man. He looked sick. Ravi dropped to his knees beside him. The man's forehead was burning, his hands were shaking. He was sweating badly, and his breathing was fast and shallow. "Sir?" Ravi said, gently shaking his shoulder. "Can you hear me?" The man opened his eyes just a little. They were dark and full of pain. "Water," he whispered. Ravi ran to the bathroom, filled a glass, and helped the man sip slowly. Then he brought a warm blanket from the laundry room and wrapped it around him. He remembered the herbal tonic his grandmother used to make for fevers. He had a small bottle in his bag. He poured a few drops into the water and gave it to the man. The stranger looked at him, trying to speak. His voice was weak. "Don't let them find me." Then he passed out. Ravi sat there for a moment, heart beating fast. Who was this man? Why was he hiding? And who was looking for him? He looked around the room. There was a small travel bag beside the bed. Out of habit, Ravi picked it up. It was strangely heavy. The lock on it was smooth and metallic, not normal metal. It shined even in the dark. Ravi had seen something like this before on a trader's ship. It was stellar alloy, a rare and expensive material used by the ultra-rich. Whoever this man was, he didn't belong here. Ravi didn't open the bag. That wasn't his job. Instead, he stayed by the man's side, checking his fever and keeping him warm. The storm outside passed, and the lights returned to normal. The digital clock on the table now showed 3:42 a.m. Ravi looked at the man's face again. It was calmer now. He was sleeping, breathing a bit better. Ravi pulled the blanket tighter and stood up. He wrote a quick note and placed it on the table. "You were very sick. I gave you water and tonic. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone." Then he left the room quietly and returned to his cleaning. But his mind was full of questions. The next morning, the motel's front desk manager, Mr. Dorn, walked in late as usual. Ravi was sweeping near the lobby. "Quiet night?" Mr. Dorn asked. Ravi nodded. "Yes, sir. No trouble with guests?" No. Sir, Mr. Dorn didn't care much about details. He grabbed a cup of coffee and went into his office. Ravi returned to room 12 later that morning, pretending to deliver fresh towels. The man was still asleep, but his fever had dropped. Ravi smiled, left the towels on the chair, and closed the door behind him. Something inside him said this wasn't just a normal traveler. But Ravi had learned long ago that helping someone in need didn't always require answers. Sometimes a kind act was enough. Still, he couldn't stop thinking about the man's last words. Don't let them find me. The sun on Luma 7 was weak and cold, but it still brought a soft golden light through the windows of Starlight Motel. Ravi stood in the hallway with a tray of food. It was now 10 in the morning. Most guests were either gone or packing up. But room 12 was still silent. Ravi knocked lightly. No answer. He waited, then slowly pushed the door open. The man from the night before was still lying in bed, but his eyes were open now. He looked tired, but not sick like before. The color in his face had returned, and his breathing was steady. Ravi gave a small smile. Good morning, sir. I brought you some breakfast. Toast, fruit, and tea. The man sat up slowly. Thank you, he said in a quiet voice. Ravi placed the tray on the table. He hesitated, then asked, Do you feel better? A little. Thanks to you. There was an awkward pause. Ravi didn't know what to say next. The man looked around the room and noticed the note Ravi had left beside the water glass. He picked it up and read it again. You didn't have to help me, he said, looking at Ravi. Ravi shrugged. You needed help. The man gave a small laugh. That's rare these days. Ravi nodded but said nothing. He didn't want to ask too many questions, but something still felt strange. Why was this well-dressed man staying at such a simple motel? Why was his bag made of stellar alloy? The man saw the look in Ravi's eyes. I guess you're wondering who I am, he said softly. Ravi didn't answer, but the man continued anyway. My name is Neil. Ravi waited. I used a fake ID to check in, Neil added. Didn't want anyone to trace me. You're hiding from someone, Ravi said carefully. Yes. Neil looked toward the window, his face serious. I'm hiding from my own life. Ravi tilted his head. What do you mean? Neil sighed. I was supposed to be at a big event on my homeworld. A wedding, not just any wedding, a very important one. Ravi sat down in the chair near the bed. He stayed quiet and listened. My family owns one of the biggest trade routes in the Sirius system. We're rich, powerful, and watched by everyone. My parents made a deal with another powerful family one that controls half the fuel ships in this region. A wedding between me and their daughter would join both sides. It would bring peace between two trade empires. That sounds like a big deal, Ravi said. It is, but it's not what I want. I don't even know the girl. We've spoken twice. It's not love. It's business, and I'm not a tool for their trade plans. So you ran away? Yes, I escaped just before the wedding ceremony. Took an old mining route to avoid scanners. Landed on a small dock 2 miles from here. The ship broke down. I walked the rest of the way. Ravi thought about it. They must be looking for you. They are, both families. They won't stop until they find me. Ravi looked at the tray of tea and fruit. You should eat something. You'll need your strength. Neil gave a small smile. You're not going to turn me in? No, Ravi said simply. You don't look like someone dangerous. There was a long silence between them. Neil reached over and pulled his travel bag onto the bed. He opened it slightly. Inside were strange devices, communication tools, a silver ID disc, and something wrapped in dark cloth. He showed Ravi a small disc. This is a universal credit ring. It holds enough money to buy a ship. Ravi's eyes widened, but he said nothing. Neil continued. I brought it in case I needed to start a new life. Somewhere. Far, somewhere peaceful. Ravi looked around the small room. Not many peaceful places left. True, Neil said suddenly. A red light blinked on the wall near the door. It was the motel's alert system, something Ravi had installed himself to track scanner signals. It meant a patrol ship was nearby. Someone scanning the area, Ravi said quickly. Neil jumped up, his face tense. They found me? Not yet, Ravi said, thinking fast. But we don't have much time. He grabbed a towel and threw it over Neil's bag. Hide your things. Act like you're a normal guest. Neil obeyed without question. Just as they finished, a knock came at the front entrance of the motel. Ravi peeked through a hallway camera. A tall officer stood there in a dark uniform, holding a tablet. His ship badge showed he was part of a regional patrol, the kind hired by private families to scan for missing people or stolen ships. Ravi took a deep breath and walked to the front. Good morning, the officer said. We're scanning the area for a missing vessel. May I ask how many guests are checked in? Just 3, Ravi said calmly. A couple from Terra 4 and 1 cargo pilot. Room 12. He checked in last night. Said he had a fever. The officer raised an eyebrow. Can I speak with him? Ravi shook his head. He's sleeping. Had a strong cough. You can check the guest log if you want. The officer scanned the log and nodded slowly. Very well. If you see anything strange, report it. The missing ship left from Sirius with 1 person aboard. We have reason to believe he's hiding nearby. Ravi stayed calm. Understood, sir. The officer left, and the patrol ship flew off after a few minutes. Ravi returned to room 12. Neil was sitting on the bed waiting. You handled that well, Neil said. I've seen patrols before, Ravi said. You learn how to talk to them. Neil looked at him with new respect. You could have given me up. I didn't. Why? Ravi looked out the window. Because sometimes people just need help. Doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. Neil was quiet for a moment, then said, If I make it out of this, I won't forget what you did. The sun on Luma 7 was weak and cold, but it still brought a soft golden light through the windows of Starlight Motel. Ravi stood in the hallway with a tray of food. It was now 10 in the morning. Most guests were either gone or packing up. But room 12 was still silent. Ravi knocked lightly. No answer. He waited, then slowly pushed the door open. The man from the night before was still lying in bed, but his eyes were open now. He looked tired, but not sick like before. The color in his face had returned, and his breathing was steady. Ravi gave a small smile. Good morning, sir. I brought you some breakfast, toast, fruit, and tea. The man sat up slowly. Thank you, he said in a quiet voice. Ravi placed the tray on the table. He hesitated, then asked, Do you feel better? A little. Thanks to you. There was an awkward pause. Ravi didn't know what to say next. The man looked around the room and noticed the note Ravi had left beside the water glass. He picked it up and read it again. You didn't have to help me, he said, looking at Ravi. Ravi shrugged. You needed help. The man gave a small laugh. That's rare these days. Ravi nodded but said nothing. He didn't want to ask too many questions, but something still felt strange. Why was this well-dressed man staying at such a simple motel? Why was his bag made of stellar alloy? The man saw the look in Ravi's eyes. I guess you're wondering who I am, he said softly. Ravi didn't answer, but the man continued anyway. My name is Neil. Ravi waited. I used a fake ID to check in, Neil added. Didn't want anyone to trace me. You're hiding from someone, Ravi said carefully. Yes. Neil looked toward the window, his face serious. I'm hiding from my own life. Ravi tilted his head. What do you mean? Neil sighed. I was supposed to be at a big event on my homeworld. A wedding, not just any wedding, a very important one. Ravi sat down in the chair near the bed. He stayed quiet and listened. My family owns one of the biggest trade routes in the Sirius system. We're rich, powerful, and watched by everyone. My parents made a deal with another powerful family, one that controls half the fuel ships in this region. A wedding between me and their daughter would join both sides. It would bring peace between two trade empires. That sounds like a big deal, Ravi said. It is, but it's not what I want. I don't even know the girl. We've spoken twice. It's not love. It's business, and I'm not a tool for their trade plans. So you ran away? Yes, I escaped just before the wedding ceremony. Took an old mining route to avoid scanners. Landed on a small dock 2 miles from here. The ship broke down. I walked the rest of the way. Ravi thought about it. They must be looking for you. They are, both families. They won't stop until they find me. Ravi looked at the tray of tea and fruit. You should eat something. You'll need your strength. Neil gave a small smile. You're not going to turn me in? No, Ravi said simply. You don't look like someone dangerous. There was a long silence between them. Neil reached over and pulled his travel bag onto the bed. He opened it slightly. Inside were strange devices, communication tools, a silver ID disc, and something wrapped in dark cloth. He showed Ravi a small disc. This is a universal credit ring. It holds enough money to buy a ship. Ravi's eyes widened, but he said nothing. Neil continued. I brought it in case I needed to start a new life. Somewhere far, somewhere peaceful. Ravi looked around the small room. Not many peaceful places left. True, Neil said. Suddenly, a red light blinked on the wall near the door. It was the motel's alert system, something Ravi had installed himself to track scanner signals. It meant a patrol ship was nearby. Someone scanning the area, Ravi said quickly. Neil jumped up, his face tense. They found me? Not yet, Ravi said, thinking fast. But we don't have much time. He grabbed a towel and threw it over Neil's bag. Hide your things. Act like you're a normal guest. Neil obeyed without question. Just as they finished, a knock came at the front entrance of the motel. Ravi peeked through a hallway camera. A tall officer stood there in a dark uniform, holding a tablet. His ship badge showed he was part of a regional patrol, the kind hired by private families to scan for missing people or stolen ships. Ravi took a deep breath and walked to the front. Good morning, the officer said. We're scanning the area for a missing vessel. May I ask how many guests are checked in? Just 3, Ravi said calmly. A couple from Terra 4 and 1 cargo pilot. Room 12. He checked in last night. Said he had a fever. The officer raised an eyebrow. Can I speak with him? Ravi shook his head. He's sleeping. Had a strong cough. You can check the guest log if you want. The officer scanned the log and nodded slowly. Very well. If you see anything strange, report it. The missing ship left from Sirius with 1 person aboard. We have reason to believe he's hiding nearby. Ravi stayed calm. Understood, sir. The officer left, and the patrol ship flew off after a few minutes. Ravi returned to room 12. Neil was sitting on the bed waiting. You handled that well, Neil said. I've seen patrols before, Ravi said. You learn how to talk to them. Neil looked at him with new respect. You could have given me up. I didn't. Why? Ravi looked out the window. Because sometimes people just need help. Doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. Neil was quiet for the air inside room 12 felt warmer now. Neil had rested well, and his color had returned. Ravi brought him another tray of food and a fresh set of towels. Thanks again, Neil said as he sipped the hot tea. I never expected help like this. Ravi gave a small smile. You're lucky you landed here. If you had gone to a busy station, you'd be caught by now. No, Neil said with a tired laugh. This motel, it saved me. Ravi didn't answer. He simply sat in the old chair near the door and waited. The silence between them was calm, but it held questions. Neil finally spoke again. "I told you part of the story." "About?" "The wedding," Ravi nodded. "The trade family's serious system." Neil looked down at his tea. "What I didn't tell you is what that wedding means. It's not just two people getting married. It's two star empires joining. My family, the Varos, controls the food trade in this quadrant. The Kiran family controls fuel. If we combine, we control both. That kind of power changes everything." Ravi leaned forward slightly. "So, your wedding could bring peace?" "Yes," Neil said. "But it would also take away my freedom." Ravi thought about that. "Can't you say no?" "I did. I ran, but now I'm called selfish, disloyal, a problem." Neil shook his head. "No one wants to hear my reasons. They just want results." Ravi understood. In a smaller way, he had lived that too. People wanted things cleaned, fixed, made perfect, but no one asked what the cleaner wanted. "I used to dream," Neil said softly. "I wanted to be a pilot, fly to unknown planets, learn about new species, but my name, my family, they decided everything." "Dreams are still alive," Ravi said. "Even if they're hidden." Neil looked up. "That's easy for you to say." "You're free." Ravi raised an eyebrow. "Am I?" He stood up and walked to the window. "My father worked on ships. He died in an accident. My mother cleaned offices until she got sick. I've been here ever since, working, cleaning, living in one small room." Behind the kitchen, Neil looked surprised. "You've never left this planet?" "Not in years." "Then why stay?" Ravi turned and looked at him calmly. "Because someone has to keep this place running, even if no one sees it." There was a long pause. Neil stood up slowly and walked over to his bag. He opened a small pouch inside and pulled out a thin silver disc. It had a glowing ring around its edge. "This is a location beacon," he said. "If I activate it, they'll know where I am. They'll stop looking. Come pick me up." "Enba." "Chase." Ravi stepped closer. "Are you thinking about going back?" "I don't know. Maybe I'm tired of hiding." Ravi was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you want to go back?" Neil looked at the disc. "No, but I also don't want war. If I keep running, my father and the Kiran leaders might push for conflict. Ships will burn. People will suffer. All because I said no." Ravi nodded slowly. "Then maybe you don't run or return. Maybe you find a third way." "What third way?" "I don't know yet," Ravi said. "But giving up your freedom or starting a war both sound like bad answers." Neil sat back down, thinking deeply. Later that evening, a message came through. The motel's old COM system. It beeped once, then played a voice message. Ravi and Neil listened carefully. "This is an official call from House Varos. We request the safe return of Neil Varos. No punishment will follow. His bride, Lena of House Kiran, will speak with him directly to resolve this peacefully. We offer reward and protection to those who assist." Ravi glanced at Neil. "She's looking for you too?" Neil looked surprised. "Lena? I didn't expect that." "Do you know her?" "Only from meetings. She's smart. But she follows the rules. She believes in family honor." "Maybe she's tired of rules too," Ravi said. That night Neil sat alone outside the motel. The stars above Luma 7 were bright and beautiful. He looked up at them with tired eyes. Ravi brought him a warm drink. "Still thinking?" "Yes, about Lena, about peace, about freedom." Ravi sat beside him. "What if she doesn't want the wedding either?" Neil looked at him. "Then maybe we're not alone." They sat quietly for a while. The wind blew softly. Somewhere far above, ships moved through the black sky. The next morning brought a surprise. A silver shuttle landed near the edge of the motel. It was sleek and silent. A woman stepped out, dressed in a simple white suit. She looked strong. Moment, then said, "If I make it out of this, I won't forget what you did." The morning sun rose slowly over the quiet plains of Luma 7, the silver shuttle that brought. Lena now rested near a hill behind the Starlight Motel. Ravi stood by the window, watching it carefully. Something told him peace wouldn't come that easy, not with the kind of names Neil and Lena carried. Inside room 12, Neil and Lena sat across from each other. They had spoken through most of the night, sharing thoughts, plans, and even small dreams they had never told anyone. Neil felt surprised. Lena, who once seemed distant and cold at family meetings, now spoke like a friend. She didn't want to marry for politics either. She wanted to study stars, build trade routes based on fairness, not control. Ravi knocked softly and entered the room with breakfast. Lena gave him a warm smile. "You must be Ravi." He nodded politely. "Yes, ma'am, I just work here." "No," Neil said. "You helped me when no one else would." "You didn't ask for anything in return," Ravi shrugged. "That's what people should do." Neil looked at Lena. "Ravi's the reason I'm still standing." Lena's expression softened. "Then we owe him more than thanks." Ravi placed the tray on the table. "I heard a ship coming during the night. It didn't land. Just passed. Close. I think they're still looking." Lena stood up, serious now. "That's not good. My shuttle was not tracked, but if they send search drones, they could scan the area within hours." Neil frowned. "We have to move fast." "What's the plan?" Ravi asked. "We'll head to the nearest space dock," Lena said. "There's a small diplomatic station there. If we both send a message from neutral ground, it could reach both families before they act. They won't trust words," Neil added, "but they might listen if we speak together." Ravi thought for a moment. "You'll need a safe path. The direct road is scanned often, but there's an old trail near the mining hills. It leads to the back of the dock. Less traffic, less chance of being seen." Lena nodded. "Can you guide us?" Ravi hesitated. He looked around the motel, the quiet halls, the tools he used every day, the room where he slept, the garden he watered behind the kitchen. Then he looked at Neil and Lena. "Yes," he said. "I'll take you there." 2 hours later, the three of them were walking through a dry canyon behind the motel. The land was rough, filled with red dust and small stones. Ravi led the way, holding a scanner to avoid heat sensors. Neil carried a small bag, while Lena followed closely, keeping an eye on the sky dot as they reached the halfway point. A sudden noise broke the silence. Whir, click, HUMMM. Ravi stopped. Drones. Above them, 2 silver shapes appeared small. Patrol drones with blinking lights and sharp lenses. They hovered, scanning the area. "Hide," Lena whispered. They ducked behind a large rock. The drones moved slowly, scanning heat and sound. One passed directly above them. Neil reached for the bag. Inside it was a signal scrambler. He powered it on. A soft hum spread around them, masking their life signs for a few seconds. The drones paused. Then they turned and floated away. Ravi let out a breath. "That was close." Neil nodded. "Too close. We need to move fast." They climbed over the last ridge and finally saw it, the small space dock, built from gray stone and metal. Only a few ships were parked there. A short tower stood at the center, flying the blue flag. That meant it was still neutral ground. "We made it," Lena said. They approached the dock quietly. Ravi stayed back, watching as Neil and Lena entered the diplomatic building. The guards didn't stop them. Both wore official symbols on. Their belts inside, they stood before a wide screen. A tall man in a formal robe greeted them. He was a peace officer from the Union of Free Stars. "I know who you are," the man said calmly. "You've caused quite a stir." Lena bowed slightly. "We're not here to make trouble. We want to send a joint message. To both families. Together, the officer nodded. Say your words. They'll be sent live. Neil stepped forward. The screen glowed bright. Cameras recorded their faces. This is Neil Veros, he began. And this is Lena Kieran. We are speaking freely without pressure. We have both refused the wedding plan for us, Lena added. But we do not wish war. We offer a new path, one of peace through partnership, not marriage. We ask our families to stop the search, Neil said. Let us return as citizens, not tools. Let us build something better with choice. The message ended. The officer nodded. It has been sent. Outside, Ravi sat on a bench near the shuttle. Port, he watched ships rise and fall like silent birds. After some time, Neil and Lena returned. It's done, Neil said. Ravi smiled. Now you wait. Yes, Lena said. But no matter the answer, we spoke our truth. Suddenly, a voice called from behind them. Stop right there. They turned to see two security men approaching fast. One held a tablet. We have orders. A bounty on Neil Veros alive. Neil stepped back. Lena moved in front of him. This is neutral ground. The officer ignored her. Orders are orders. Before they could reach them, the peace officer from inside stepped out. These two are under my protection, he said firmly. They came with truth, not weapons. Touch them, and the Union will respond. The guards paused. The law of the Union was strong. Slowly, they lowered their scanners and backed away. Neil turned to Ravi. You saved me once. Now you brought me to safety. Ravi smiled. You did the hard part. Lena looked at him. Come with us. Help us build something better. People like you are rare. Ravi looked at the sky. Maybe, but for now, I think Luma 7 still needs a cleaner. They all laughed, and for the first time in days, the tension broke. The space dock felt safe for the moment, but Ravi knew it wouldn't last. Even after the Union peace officer defended Neil and Lena, Ravi could feel the pressure in the air. Too many eyes were watching. Too many systems had been alerted. The message Neil and Lena sent was brave, but it had also drawn attention. That evening, they returned quietly to the Starlight Motel. The sun was fading behind the red hills of Luma 7. Ravi parked Lena's shuttle behind the storage shed and placed old covers over it. Won't people wonder why you came back? Lena asked. Ravi shook his head. No one pays attention to a cleaner. That's the truth of this planet, Neil smiled. In a way, that's what saved me. Back inside, Ravi showed them something he hadn't shown anyone in years. Behind the motel's laundry room was a narrow metal door. He opened it with an old code, and a hidden path led down to a dusty underground hangar. A small ship sat in the middle. It was old and rusty, but not broken. This was my father's ship, Ravi said. He used it for deliveries before he died. I kept it hidden, repaired it when I had time. Neil's eyes lit up. It's beautiful. Lena looked at the faded name on the side. Hope Star. She still works? Neil asked. She needs a few parts, Ravi replied. But the core engine is good, and she's not connected to any current system. No tracking chip, no ID tags. Just a clean, free ship. Lena stepped inside and checked the controls. This could be our escape. If things go bad, Ravi nodded. You can leave the planet without drawing attention. Fly to a neutral moon. From there, start something new. Neil looked thoughtful. What about you, Ravi? I'll stay. This place is still mine. But you could come with us, Lena said. We need people we can trust. Ravi gave a small smile. Let's fix the ship first. For the next 2 days, they worked in shifts. Ravi taught Neil how to clean fuel lines, check gravity controls, and balance power flow. Lena, who had trained in advanced tech during her early studies, repaired the broken communication screen. She moved with focus and skill, surprising even Ravi. At night, They shared simple meals together. Sitting outside under the stars, they talked about small things, childhood memories, favorite dishes, music from different worlds. Ravi listened more than he spoke, but Neil and Lena found peace in his quiet presence. One evening, as they finished dinner, Lena asked, "Why did your father leave his ship hidden here?" Ravi looked at the sky. "He said one day I might need it." "He didn't trust the future." "Wise man," Neil said. Ravi nodded. "He believed in keeping one door open, just in case." By the third morning, the ship was ready. They stood together in the hangar, staring at the Hope Star. Its lights now blinked with soft power. The engines hummed. The inside looked clean and ready for travel. "She's not fast," Ravi said. "But she'll get you far." Neil stepped forward. "We don't want to leave without you." "I'll be fine," Ravi said. "This planet still needs someone who cares about the small things." "You could do more," Lena said gently. "You're smart, calm, and honest." Ravi thought for a moment. "Maybe one day. But right now, people here need me more than the stars do." Neil placed a hand on Ravi's shoulder. "If things change, if you ever want to leave this ship, we'll always be waiting." Ravi gave a nod. "Thank you." Later that afternoon, the peace officer from the dock sent a message. 2 fleets were gathering near the edge of the system. The Varos and Kiran families had received the video, but their councils were divided. Some wanted peace, others demanded control. No answer had come yet. Neil paced the floor of room 12. "We need to leave soon." Lena sat near the window. "Let's wait one more day. If they choose peace, we'll return. If not, we'll fly." Ravi entered with a calm voice. "You should get some rest." "Tomorrow might be heavy," Neil sighed. "How do you stay so calm, Ravi?" Ravi smiled. "Because I've learned worry never fixes tomorrow, but sleep helps you survive it." That night, everything felt quiet. Too quiet. Ravi checked the scanner near the front desk. A signal had appeared, small, hidden, but close. A stealth drone was nearby. He ran to room 12. "Get up," he whispered. "They found us." Neil and Lena jumped up. They didn't panic, just moved quickly. Ravi led them through the back hallway, down to the hangar. The lights flickered. Outside, the sound of a hovering ship came closer. Ravi powered the Hope Star. The engines glowed. The loading ramp dropped open. Lena climbed in first, checking the shields. Neil followed with the navigation tablet. Ravi handed Neil a small box. "What's this?" Neil asked. "A gift," Ravi said. "My father's old flight key. No one can track it. It also holds his log. His thoughts, stories, even maps." Neil stared at it with respect. "Thank you, Ravi, for everything." Ravi stepped back. The ramp began to close. Lena called from inside. "We'll see you again." "That's a promise." The ship lifted slowly, then shot forward into the night sky, silent, smooth, and free. Ravi stood in the hangar, watching the stars above. He didn't feel sad. He felt proud. They had escaped, and they had hope. The stars above Luma 7 twinkled quietly, as if nothing had changed. But everything had. Neil and Lena were now far from the motel, flying across silent space inside the old ship, Hope Star. Ravi had stayed behind, just like he said he would. He stood alone in the hangar long after the ship had vanished into the night sky. But deep in his heart, Ravi knew something important was coming. He could feel it. The next morning, Ravi returned to his usual work. He mopped the hallway floors, cleaned the windows, and watered the small garden behind the kitchen. The Starlight Motel was quiet again. Just another simple day. But then, something unexpected happened. A large silver shuttle landed gently in front of the motel. It was smooth, quiet, and clearly high class. Ravi stepped outside slowly, a towel still in his hand. The door of the shuttle opened, and 3 figures stepped out. 2 were dressed in formal suits. The third was a man with a kind face and gray hair. He wore a dark robe and had a golden crest on his chest. It was the symbol of the Serious Trade Council. "Are you Ravi?" The older man asked politely. Ravi nodded. "I am Aaron Vell, advisor to both the Veros and Kieran houses. I've come to speak with you." Ravi looked surprised. "With me?" "Yes, you were the first person to help Neil. You guided him when no one else would." Ravi led them inside and offered tea. They sat in the small lobby, where sunlight warmed the dusty floor. Aaron took a sip and smiled. Simple, but good. Ravi waited quietly. Aaron placed a silver tablet on the table. It showed a message. A video of Neil and Lena speaking from the diplomatic dock. Ravi had seen it already. But now something new followed. The screen displayed a vote. Veros family, 4 for peace, 2 for control. Kieran family, 3 for peace, 3 undecided. They listened, Ravi said softly. "Yes, Aaron." Sighed, "But the final decision is not made yet. Some believe Neil and Lena acted out of selfishness. Others say they were brave. And what do you believe?" Ravi asked. "I believe they made the right choice," Aaron said. "And I also believe your part in this was more important than you think." Ravi stayed silent. Aaron leaned forward. "Neil spoke about you, a lot. He said you reminded him what it means to care without expecting anything. That your small act of kindness saved his life, and may have saved peace between 2-star empires." Ravi looked down at the table. "I only gave him water. A blanket, that's not much." "It was more than enough," Aaron said kindly. One of the other men handed Ravi a data card. "This contains an offer." "A job?" Ravi raised an eyebrow. "A job, yes," Aaron said. "The Trade Council is building a new team, a neutral group of advisors, travelers, and negotiators. Neil and Lena are leading it. They want you to be part of it." Ravi blinked. "But I'm just a cleaner." "You're more than that," Aaron said. "You're calm under pressure. You think before speaking. You act with heart. That's rare." Ravi looked at the card. It showed the name of the new group. Unity Path Initiative, building peace, one world at a time. "They want me to leave Luma 7? Ravi asked. "If you say yes," Aaron replied. "The shuttle outside will take you to their base on Mira Station." Ravi stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the dusty road stretched far. He had walked that path for years, always returning to the same quiet place. He thought about his father, the old ship, the nights alone. Then he thought about Neil's smile, Lena's strength, the sound of Hope Star flying into the stars. "Can I think about it?" Ravi asked. "Of course," Aaron said. "We'll wait until sunset." Ravi walked alone to the back garden. He sat on a wooden bench and stared at the sky. A small bird flew past, chirping softly. The wind carried the scent of flowers. He closed his eyes. He had always stayed behind, always watched others leave. Maybe it was time to go forward. By evening, he returned to the lobby. The visitors were waiting. Aaron stood up. Ravi held the data card tightly. "Tell Neil and Lena I accept." A smile spread across Aaron's face. "They'll be happy, so will the galaxy." Ravi packed a small bag. Not much, just some clothes, a picture of his parents, and the old flight key Neil had taken from the ship and returned through a drone message 2 hours earlier. He walked through the motel one last time. He touched the door of room 12, now empty. Then he locked the front gate and placed a small sign, "Closed for the stars. Back someday." As the shuttle lifted into the sky, Ravi looked down at Luma 7. The dusty roads, the lonely hills, the quiet motel. It was all part of him. But now, he was part of something greater. A new path had begun, and Ravi, the quiet cleaner from a forgotten planet, was flying toward the future. The shuttle moved smoothly through the stars. Inside, Ravi sat near the window, watching planets and moons pass by. It was his first time leaving Luma 7 in many years, and everything felt new. The stars didn't seem so far now. They felt closer like old friends finally within reach. He carried only a small bag, but his heart was full. The old life he left behind was quiet, safe. But this new journey felt full of meaning. He was not just a cleaner anymore. He was part of something that could change the galaxy. After 2 days of travel, the shuttle arrived at Mira Station, a peaceful place floating above a blue and white planet. Unlike big cities, Mira Station was calm. It was clean, organized, and filled with people from different worlds working together. Flags of many star systems waved in the center hall. A young officer greeted Ravi. "Welcome to Mira Station, sir. Neil and Lena are waiting for you." Ravi followed him down a shining hallway until they reached a wide glass room. Inside, Neil and Lena stood near a large table with star maps glowing on its surface. When they saw Ravi, both smiled brightly. "You came," Neil said, stepping forward. "We knew you would," Lena added. Ravi gave a small smile. "I almost didn't, but you did," Neil said. "And that's what matters." They sat together, sharing a light meal of fruit and bread. There were no servants here, no fancy robes. Neil and Lena had left their royal roles behind. Now, they were just two people working to create a new path, the Unity Path Initiative. In the days that followed, Ravi learned about his new role. He wasn't a fighter or a pilot. He wasn't a leader in meetings. But his job was just as important. He was a peace observer, someone who listened, who noticed things others missed, and who reported the truth calmly. He traveled with small teams to local starports, helped during talks between planets, and advised on small matters that often turned into big problems. Ravi's soft voice and clear thinking made him trusted by both sides in any discussion. Soon, people began to say, "Send Ravi, he sees clearly." Even Neil and Lena, now leaders of the Unity Path, often asked for his advice. One mission took Ravi to a mining moon where two families were fighting over water rights. The leaders wouldn't speak to each other. But Ravi spent 2 days walking the mine, talking to workers, and listening to the guards. He didn't argue. He just listened. Then, during a meeting, Ravi stood up and said, "If you share the water, your workers stay alive. If you don't, they leave. Then both sides lose." The room went silent. The leaders agreed to share. Ravi never raised his voice, but he changed everything. Back on Mira Station, Lena called into her office. "You're making a difference," she said. "I hope you know that." "I'm just doing my part," Ravi replied. "No," she said. "You're doing more. You're reminding people how to be kind." Neil entered the room, holding a small crystal. "This came from your old planet," he said. "It's a message from Luma 7, Ravi opened it. A hologram appeared. Mr. Dorn, the old motel manager, now standing at the front gate of the Starlight Motel. "We miss you, Ravi," Dorn said. "Guests still ask where you went. I tell them the stars needed you more. Just wanted to say, thank you." "And the garden's still blooming," Ravi smiled. For a moment, he missed the dusty halls and quiet mornings. But he also felt proud. He hadn't left the motel behind. He had carried its kindness forward. Weeks passed. The Unity Path grew stronger. More planets joined. Peace talks replaced trade fights. People began to hope again. One evening, Ravi sat near the glass window of Mira Station, watching a glowing starfield. Neil walked over and sat beside him. "You ever think about going back?" Neil asked. "Sometimes," Ravi replied. "But not yet. You still feel like a cleaner?" Neil smiled. Ravi chuckled. "In some ways, I still fix things. I just use words instead of tools now." They both laughed quietly. Lena joined them. She held a small device in her hand. "We've been given a new task," she said. "There's a system beyond the far rings. No one has mapped it yet. But there are signs of life. We've been asked to lead the first peaceful contact." Neil raised an eyebrow. "You're thinking we should go?" "Yes," Lena replied. together. She looked at Ravi. Would you come with us? Ravi stared at the stars for a moment. Then he nodded double quotes yes. Let's see what kindness can do, in places no one's touched yet. And so the Hope Star, repaired once more, was brought to Mira Station. It had served Neil and Lena before, and now it would carry them and Ravi on a new journey. As the ship lifted gently from the launch bay, Ravi stood at the window again. This time, he wasn't leaving something behind. He was moving forward, towards something greater. Not as a cleaner, not as a hero, but as a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can start a change so big it can reach the stars.